profit sharing is also a way that the organization can distribute rewards to the whole organization. Whereas gain sharing focuses on productivity and changes in productivity and performance goals in a group level, profit sharing is about profitability and distributing that to the entire organization. And the good part about that is if the company is doing really well, they share those profits with everybody, and that's a nice thing. On the other hand, though, let's say you work in human resource management and you don't really have a direct impact on sales or customer service. I mean, yeah, you do the training and those kinds of things, but you don't really have a direct impact on it. So what do? You have less control over profitability. The profitability is really in the hands of the marketing and sales people or the people making the products. So if they don't make good quality products, then that impacts profitability, sales and profitability, which ultimately affects your reward. So no matter how good you perform in human resources, if others don't do their job, you will be at a loss. But overall, there's a really clear formula for what the percentage will be and how it will get distributed to people, and it may be based on performance or it may be just a general profit sharing for everybody. Stock options are also another way to reward people for good performance. And in this situation, what they do is they give employees shares of stock in the company, which then has value that they can invest or they can sell. And the possibility of larger rewards certainly exists if the company is more profitable and has better market share and has a really good stock price, right? It is a long-term incentive. It's the goal of stock options is to keep you on board so that you can initiate your stock option and get the stock and have access to greater profitability in owning the company. But it can be very risky. For example, Enron, you've probably all heard about Enron. They were a company a number of years ago that behaved unethically, and they were shut down by the government and by lawsuits. And Enron ended up, over their career, giving people stock options as a way of engaging in profitability and sharing in their profitability. And when they gave their stock options to people, it meant nothing to them because once the company folded, the stock options were worth absolutely nothing. So you can see how that would be an incredibly risky venture. Now, often stock options are things for higher level executives, or it might be stock options in smaller entrepreneurial businesses where there may not be a lot of profits to share initially, but we'll give you a stock option and then you'll own stock in the company and help the company grow. That's the goal of sort of keeping people on board for that long haul. But the stock options are definitely overall a risky option as compared to other pay-for-performance programs. ESOPs are employee stock ownership plans, where stock options are usually reserved for senior level executives, typically C-suite people. Employee stock ownership is where everybody can get shares of stock in the company. And so it becomes part of the distribution of rewards to the employee. After they are employed for a while, and then every year they get access to stock ownership. So ultimately, the employees own a share in the company. And the goal of that is, again, it's a long-term investment because what they want is for the company to be around for a long period of time and for people to stay with the company for a long period of time. And then the company owns those stock, that gives them the stock, but they hold on to it. Employees never actually have possession of the shares while they're employed. the organization distributes the shares when an employee retires or dies or becomes disabled or is fired. So then they get to take those shares with them, but otherwise the company manages it on its own. And so you'll get portions of it or get to earn portions of it, but ultimately you don't get access to it until you leave. So what are the challenges and opportunities of using a good reward system and to set up a good system to reward performance? Well, obviously we've got to make sure we've got good performance measures. They have to be very accurate. They have to be representative of the work that the person's actually doing. It's going to have some subjective and some objective, more quantitative assessments of performance. And we need to not only know what people do, but also how well they do it. So there's all sorts of nuances to performance. It's very rare, if almost non-existent, to have a job that has one thing that they have to do and they have to do well. There's usually jobs are multifaceted, and so your performance measurement should be multifaceted as well. And just like in the hiring situation, our measures have to be reliable, they have to be valid, they cannot be contaminated with information that's not relevant, nor should it be deficient, which is information that is not not fully exhaustive of what the range of things should be for that performance measure. So how do incentives work in terms of motivating workers to behave in a certain way? Well, people gravitate to jobs that fit their personalities, right? And to reward systems that fit what their goals and aspirations are. And so what you start to see is in this attraction, selection, attrition model, employees tend to flock to jobs that just align for them. And ultimately, what you'll start to see is some homogeneity within job categories. So people who like to be outgoing might be driven to sales, and people that are quiet and more introverted and introspective might go into accounting. But that's a common expectation, and so we tend to be drawn to the type of job that provides the rewards to us that we value the most. Pay for performance programs account for probably the largest portion of labor costs because they're going to vary. They're not always predictable. And there's lots of influences from the external environment that can make changes. For example, if there's a disaster, it can impact the predictability of profit, because if there's a disaster, then people are spending less money on some things but more money on others. And so there's all sorts of market forces that come into play that can have an impact on this. But the rewards do vary over time. And if someone is depending on those rewards for a consistent supplement to their pay, it's not always a good reward system, because companies can cut profit sharing and pay for performance systems at any time. It's always really important to have really good modeling and projections, because if things take a turn for the worse, the last thing we want is a situation where people were expecting money and then having it all pulled away from them at the last minute. That creates a lot of amotivation and disengagement. One unfortunate side effect of using pay for performance systems, as we see that there is some research showing that when we have pay for performance systems, people are more likely to focus only on their core tasks and not care about the citizenship behaviors that are needed in order for the organization to thrive. I mean, you can get by doing the bare minimum, but citizenship behaviors are about doing above and beyond and working together cooperatively and doing things so people's work and values all kind of align and they support each other. And if all you do is just focus on your thing and only your thing, and you don't care about the impact on other people, then that's what you're going to end up getting. So part of what we need to think about is you get what you pay for. So if you're going to pay for people to do core tasks, That's all they're going to focus on. They're not going to focus on the things outside of that. And so you need to design your systems in such a way that it rewards for the core tasks, but also rewards for citizenship behaviors. And companies like Zappos do a really good job of that. As I've also told you, pay-for-performance systems can also result in unethical behavior, where people will start doing whatever it takes to earn the reward, and even if that means lying or cheating or doing unethical things in order to achieve the goals. So it's an unintentional thing, right? Because we think we're going to get the behaviors that we want, but if we set those goals, remember we talk about SMART goals, right? Specific, measurable, attainable. And if they are not attainable, if they are too unrealistic, you're going to end up with a situation where people are going to do whatever it takes to achieve the reward. And that unintentionality can be very problematic. As well, we're also going to find less effort and cooperation. Obviously, it varies from group to group, but often groups that are too large or are not monitored are going to end up with a lot more social loafing, less effort being put forth, less cooperation, because people may still be focused more on individual task-focused behaviors as opposed to cooperative behaviors. And so what you need is a combination of both individual and group rewards so that we encourage individual efforts as well as group cooperation. We need to have both. You get what you pay for. That's a most important lesson to take away from this. You get what you pay for. If you pay for people to do a thing, that's the only thing they're going to focus on. If you need them to do multiple things, you have to have that embedded in your reward system.